think,
Can I speak, please?
sure you can.
The second bill, the reason why I asked, and I talked to Jeff at the town, the second bill for us was, I believe, was $300 to $400. If I'm not mistaken, Jim, yours was? My neighbor to the east was $649. And if you're telling us that the cleanup was for the second bill, I mean, you got three, that's $1,200, you got almost $1,700, $1,800 for what cleanup, the debris? Is that what you're saying?
Through your worship, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that's, I think in order to clarify this, if you can, to ensure that we're on the same page, provide me a copy of those invoices, then we can check our records. No, the cleanup for the additional debris was only $2,100 total. And I think that equated to $30 for Mr. Shepley, and I'm not sure what it was for the Marquettes as far as what I have in front of me. So,
We never got that bill. We never got that bill. Our second bill was between $300 and $400.
through your worship, do you have
Yes, sir.
that bill with you?
No, not with us, no.
Yeah. I have Mr. Phillips knows a little bit about this. He has a comment to make. This is our CAO, okay?
Thank you, through your worship. When I looked at I had not familiarized myself with this particular matter at all until reading the agenda. It had not come to my attention until, as I said, reading the agenda. When I look at the delegation form, it's not clear to me, and I think that's the issue for staff right now, is that not all of the details are listed in here. The addresses of the properties that are in question. Your point is that as neighbors, you want to discuss how you're receiving bills. Those are your words. And there's no breakdown of the work done. I think I understand that point because there is some issues with our billing system, and we're looking at that. And that is something we can talk to you about directly. It also suggests in the form, have you consulted with staff before? The answer was no, and yet I'm hearing very clearly that you've had ongoing discussions with staff. So I'm sorry, but...
That was after the form was handed in.
Okay. I'm confused, and I sense that we're not going to resolve this in discussion tonight because we don't have all of the details in front of us. I think the most appropriate thing would be to sit down with senior staff, and I get the willingness from Chris, and I'll tag Jeff Morrison in that discussion as well, that we sit down and try to understand the background on the issues and explain what the bills are for. If there has been a mistake made, we can certainly deal with that. But right now, it's unclear, in my estimation, in terms of what's in front of me when I read the delegation form and when I try to understand what the points are.
If I may. I contacted Deputy Mayor Malash more than a month and a half ago with regards to how it was billed and the whole process. So I'm not sure how it is that council's unclear when I talked to a council member about the issues with the billing and how the job was done and everything that we're talking to you about today a month and a half ago. He also assured me that he'd get right back to me, which he never did until a couple of days before we came to council, I'm sure because he knew we were coming to council. But I don't know why it is that a month and a half, somebody can't get me some answers, and I'm not sure why you don't know why we're here when I talked to the deputy mayor about it at least 6 weeks ago on more than one occasion.
Okay, I'm going to go to Deputy Mayor Malash in spite of 3 council members having their hands up, seeing how they're addressing Deputy Mayor Malash. I know Councillor Snively, there's 3 years ahead of him, but he wants to know why. Richard Malash, I think, should have the right to defend himself right now, or explain why. Thanks.
Thank you, through your worship. Councillor Vokes and Mr. Marquette, Mr. Shepley called me one day. They did say that they were, I wasn't quite sure of the questions that they were asking, but to my point, it was about the drain that was cleaned in front of their house and why they had received multiple cleanings bills for their drain. So I proceeded to contact our drainage department. The drainage department's kind of explained it to me a little bit and said that they would get back to the parties that were complaining, and that they had the billings all laid out in front of them, that they would show them what they what they were looking for. So I left it at that. Bad on me, I should have called them maybe directly myself, but I was assured that they were going to be contacted and told what the issue was on their billings to try and explain it to them. So, thank you.
Okay, I have Councillor Snively, Councillor Vokes, and Councillor Bondi.
Through you, Your Worship, obviously, we do have, we've had a billing problem for the last 5 years. It was an internal problem, and we are straightening it out. And I agree with Russ here tonight. We are not going to correct this problem tonight because basically I didn't know anything about your case here. And I agree with Chris, like, all parties should get together, okay, and let's put it on the table and see where the problem is. You might have got double billed. I'm not saying you didn't. Maybe you did. Like I say, we did have a billing problem, and it is being corrected. So back to what Russ says, I think all the interested parties should get together with Chris for a meeting and put all the bills out in front, and let's research it and see where the error is. So, I mean, we're not going to resolve it tonight, obviously. I would like to, but we're just not going to get there. I mean, we can sit here all night. I see your point because I've had lots of them. And like I say, let's get together with Chris. You people get together with Chris and let's resolve it. It will be resolved, believe me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Vokes.
Thank you. To me, in simplicity, it can be resolved tonight. I don't know why we're making a big deal out of it, to be quite frank with you. It's very clear. You as a taxpayer receive a bill. It says Town of Essex. That's what it says, Town of Essex. What does the bill say? Nothing. It doesn't say anything. But we anticipate, because we send you a bill with nothing on it, it says Town of Essex with a sum here at the bottom, you're just going to go pay it. And if you don't pay it, by the way, we're going to use a little leverage on you. We're going to put it on your tax bill. So I don't understand why it's complicated. I don't know why we can't clear it up tonight, because it could be cleared up tonight by simply giving a direction to administration that says very clearly, the next drainage bill goes out, there's explanation whether it's a secondary bill or not, the work that it entails. What is so hard and so complicated about that? It's not. It's not. That's one issue quickly resolved as far as I'm concerned. And secondly, Mr. Shepley spent his own time, his own money with his own dozer on dirt that was mounded up on the edge of his ditch that was residential property, but the perception was it's agricultural when it wasn't. So what does he do? In order to clean his yard up, that was left in a hell of a mess, by the way, he goes out with his own time, his own equipment, his own money, and he cleans it up. And what do we do as a council? We go, oh, geez, that's unfortunate. It's not unfortunate. He should be reimbursed based on a tax reprieve for his time spent and everything he done out there for our fault. But we're just going to let him walk out of here tonight and go, well, it's really unfortunate it happened. It's not unfortunate it happened. We got to look at your time spent, Chris, Jeff, we got to look at your time spent and determine what that cost you as a taxpayer to do that and reimburse him. Can't do that. He's residential property. We dumped it on his property on the assumption, and nobody obviously even looked into it. Just because based on the Marquettes were zoned agricultural, they just went status quo with the close environment and did that. So I would suggest to council, that we review the cost to do that, we reimburse, and starting tomorrow, we start itemizing on a bill. What's obviously the bill, whatever the sum is, I'll throw $300 out there as an IE, means something. We're collecting that $300 for a purpose. What's the purpose? Whatever that purpose is, we write it down and we give it to you. That's all they're asking. Nothing more. And we're making it all complicated. We're going to have a side meeting and we're going to meet with you on the side and everybody's invited and we're going to talk about it and we got no answers for you tonight. I guess that's the way the wheels of progress turn around here instead of making it very simple. That's my position. I would hope council would endorse we do that. And I don't know why we wouldn't. I would hope everybody here would support that, and we walk out of here with some residual of good rapport with the people on that drain.
Councilor Bonnie.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight and sharing what has happened to you. I've also heard from many Ward 3 residents very similar stories with bills without itemized. I would like to ask administration to do a review of the drainage department because I'm frankly embarrassed and sick of it. We need a systematic review of what's going on because this is my 5th year on council, and I think we do a better job billing people for damn dogs than we do for drains. And I'm embarrassed. And without slinging any mud, let's just have a review coming from the CAO's office about what the F is going on in the drainage department. Because whether we're trying to put a drain on somebody's property, we haven't notified them, or whether we can't even give you an invoice with an itemized bill as to what's going on. Or, you know, we're 5 years and several property owners, different farms owners are inheriting past drainage bills. It's not fair. It's not right. We are a business. Our top goal should be customer service, and we're not doing that. So I think we need a review of the drainage department. This review should have happened 3 years ago. I don't know what we're missing, whether we're understaffed. I don't think the staff in place are bad staff, whether we're understaffed, but it needs to be a priority going into 2015. So I'll seek council's support on review of the drainage department when the time is ready.
CEO, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship. Just in response to the councillor's most recent statement about a review, that review was called for by myself about 3 weeks ago through Mr. Nepsy's office, and I know Chris has initiated some steps. We're looking at it holistically from all finance, the number of steps that go through. It is a broken system. There's no doubt about it. The further I've looked at it, we understand there are gaps, and what we're trying to do is close some of those gaps. Not understanding the particulars of these residents' issues, we certainly have understood that there are gaps in terms of the billing. That's a discussion I've had with Donna Hunter and Jeff Morrison. Hopefully some of those gaps have been rectified, and I think Jeff knows what I'm talking about in terms of the last series of bills that did go out. Chris has initiated a meeting. I believe there's a meeting called for next week or as soon as Dawn is back, I think it is. And we're going to be sitting down and pulling apart all of the steps that we go through, all of the hands that touch this particular process, because it is one of the things that I've found in many years in this business is that the less hands that touch something or the less departments that get involved in these things, the smoother they go. And I'll be blunt, this is one that crosses boundaries about 4 different times between the clerk's office, between infrastructure, between finance, and back and forth between the drainage people out in the field. And then on top of all of that, we can layer on OMAFRA and all of the rules that they throw at us. So it is something that we've taken very seriously, and I want to assure council and the residents of the community that we take it very seriously and are looking at improving both the model, the billing system, and to clean up in terms of the communications that we have with residents in the future about the types of bills and the types of activities that the town is undertaking on your property.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Deputy Mayor Malash.
Through your worship, it's I've been saying it for a while yet, and I think Chris knows. I do believe our drainage department is understaffed, and I know he's got some ideas. Him and I have talked about them. But what I would really like to see happen before we implement whatever system we're going to implement is that administration comes back to council and let us know what you're doing or before you implement the program. We look at it from a residents' perspective, and I mean that's why we're voted in. I want to be able to look at whatever's in place and maybe what you're looking at from an administrative position would be different from how we see it as a resident's point of view. So I think it would be a very good idea that it would come back to council first before the whole program is implemented, so that we can throw that perspective in as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bjorkman, Councilor Vokes, you spoke once. Is it going to be short?
I just want to put a motion.
Okay, well, I'm going to let Councilor Bjorkman, okay. I have a couple of comments. I agree 100% with what Councilor Snively said. We'll get to you, Larry. Maybe I should let you speak first. Go ahead, I'll let you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I guess I was the culprit in all this. I ordered the drain cleaned in the first place about 5 years ago and was told at the initiation of that it would take 3 years for the work to commence. And I could, what in the wide world has happened that it would take 3 years to get this thing off the ground? Well, we have to tender for the engineer, and he went on and on, and I thought, and today I sit here and I listen to this and I think, why are we trying to reinvent the wheel? I took him a copy of one of the engineer's reports that he didn't have from about 1948. Oh, he didn't have that. He copied it. It took me a couple of comments to receive back the report that I gave him that C.G.R. Armstrong had done way back when. And he took the schedule off of that of where the people were, updated that. And I'm like the rest of these people. I get a bill that says, clean the ditch, $1,101. But it doesn't say anything about what I received for the grant. I raised the issue for Mr. Nepsey about why we didn't get a schedule of the engineer's report that told what the disbursements were. And he showed me that part of it, I guess. I guess I didn't take a copy of it last week when I was there. But it's too simple to have all this discussion. It came from an engineer. The charges to each property owner were re-looked at, or should have been, although I'm not 100% sure that some of us weren't charged in a different manner from the report. But I just go back to this part about the wheel. Why is it so difficult to do the things that were done? You know, I'm the senior guy here, I'm ashamed to say, or maybe I'm not. And I just don't get it. What happened in 1948 that can't happen in 2015? Thank you for your time.
Just to that last remark, Larry. Hey, Larry, in 1948 the law was, and our laws, bylaws, everything changes. Not our bylaws, but from the government and everything. You could ask administration, I don't care which you're in, you know, those things do change. No, they could have, but maybe they didn't. But you've heard our CAO and you've heard Chris. Things are going to change. You know, they're in the process of going, and with this meeting, like Councillor Snively wants, with you people, get it all out on the table, and you're going to get your answers. We don't have them here.
I hope we don't have to hire some more people to figure that out.
No. All you have to do is bring your bill. Now, I'm going to say the last. Okay.
Okay, I had spoke to Richard Malash. First, I spoke to Jeff when I handed in the form, and he had asked me, do I have the bill? And no, I don't have the bill on me. Why should I have to show the bill when you guys disperse them? I talked to Richard Malash on the phone for a good half hour, correct? And we come up with a solution. You send out a letter to all the farms involved, whether it costs $2 like you said, $2, send a letter saying this is the project, this is how much it's going to cost, and now Chris is asking me to show me a bill. He should have the bill on his computer right now. Right? Or when I went to speak to Jeff there, Jeff should have had it right in front of him.
So he's explained that to you already once. You want him to do it again?
That he doesn't have it.
Okay.
There's an issue.
Okay. And that's why they're going to investigate this. That's all I'm saying. Okay, now I'm going to have a wrap up here with a couple of comments. Like I started to say, I agree 100% with what Councillor Snively said. You know, you people are talking you talked to Randy and you talked to Deputy Mayor Malash, you heard his expansion, his, explanation. We haven't heard about this. I'm not going to make a decision here tonight, in spite of what anybody wants. We're going to hear from administration. If this lady or that gentleman come in here and said, hey, I got overcharged, I'm not calling anybody untruthful, but we need to see that. That's all I'm saying. And you're done. You're not going to talk. You see, you turn it on. Like I have the last word here, and then we're going to Councillor Vokes because he wants to make a motion. But I agree with, like I said, what Councillor Snively said. I don't know anything about this. Maybe they've known for 6 weeks, but we don't as a council. So that's it. Councillor Vokes.
Well, thank you, Councillor Bjorkman. I do have one other issue prior to Mrs. Marquette and Dave Marquette, Mr. Marquette leaving tonight that is still outstanding and not answered. But with that being said I'd like to put a motion forward that says no bills are to be sent out to residents without billing description, and that resident, Jim Shepley, is reimbursed for time spent, and a review of drainage department take place as a priority. And if we don't leave here tonight with that, then we leave with nothing. And that's the truth. And I know Councillor Mr. Phillips has already indicated to us he's had those discussions, but as a result of tonight, I think it warrants, as Councillor Bondi has suggested, it certainly warrants further discussions with the drainage department. And on this, to say that nobody is aware of the situation, when I look in the room right now, I'm aware of the situation. Mr. Malash is aware of the situation. Jeff Morrison is aware of the situation. Chris Nepsey is aware of the situation. And so there's many people on that list who could have formed the balance. And if you don't know the situation, I'm a little surprised you don't, because it's been such in large magnitude of this. So anyways, with that being said, I'm asking for endorsement and support of this motion. I would certainly look for a seconder and get support that those 3 initiatives take place.
That's it. I will ask for a seconder. One more time. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Bondi?
Yeah.
For discussion. Anyone? Councillor Bondi and Councillor Bortman.
Thank you. Part A is that no drainage bills get sent out without details. That's a given. And that we review our drainage system, that's a given too. But I don't know how we can quite define Jim Shepley and his needs until staff have met with him. So I'm comfortable with A and C, but I'm not quite comfortable with the line B in your motion, Randy. Although I think that we should rectify the situation. I don't know what that looks like, right? Maybe.
I agree.
So I want administration to meet with Jim Shepley, figure out what the issue is, come back to us. Jim Shepley might have an issue. There might be another guy that has the same issue or a different issue. So we need to fix the issues, but I agree with A and B. I just want to fix A and C. I just want to fix line B.
No, but he needs to be reimbursed.
Councillor Bjorkman and then Councillor Snively.
Yeah, I'll support what Councillor Bondi's saying. We need to go through the facts, look at what it is, and take care of people as they need it, but we won't know that until everyone's sat down and we've looked at those numbers. So I agree with points A and C for your motion.
If I could.
No.
Okay.
Councillor Vokes. You presented it and you get the last shot at her.
Thank you.
Councillor Snively.
Through your worship, I agree with the other councillors here. I got one other thing on this billing. I was told as a councillor, because living out where I'm at, I do get a lot of calls on drainage issues. And I was told that every single bill has a description of the work that's been done. And now I'm hearing these people have a bill without any description whatsoever, the work being done. How do you run a business like that? I don't understand it. You know, I mean, we are all aware we got a problem here. I hope that this problem is going to be fixed very soon, Your Worship, because it is total embarrassment. When I get a phone call from a resident out there of an on-site meeting, and it's a certain day, and he calls me at 2:30 in the afternoon, and he says, Larry, how about this on-site meeting we got? I just got the notice when the meeting was this morning. Embarrassing.
Deputy Mayor Malash?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I think all of what we're pointing out here is just a lack of having a solid process put in place. I know administration is working on that, and I've been talking with Chris on it as well over the last couple of weeks, partly due to what's going on with Shepleys and Marquettes. But I know that they're working on a process. They realize that it's broken. Russ says it's broken, that we need to get to a comfortable place. Finance is just, we've had some responsibilities shift over to finance from another department without perhaps proper explanations as to what needs to happen, because there wasn't a process in place to spell it all out. So hopefully they're working on that. I've been told that they're working on that. I agree with what everybody's saying. As far as point A goes, I agree with what Randy's motion is. Again, with what Sherry said, there may be something that we need to do with Mr. Shepley, but tonight I don't think we should be deciding. We don't know exactly what should happen, and I'd like administration to sit down and make a recommendation as to what should happen. And then point C, Randy, what was C again? Sorry, Mr. Mayor?
Going to have the motion read, sir.
Okay,
As
so
soon as you're finished.
I can't remember what point C was. Sorry? Oh, review of the drainage, yes, so review of the drainage process. I believe that's gonna come out of all of this. Our CAO's already told us that. Might not be bad to have a motion in place to say that, yeah, council's looking forward to seeing that come to us. But it's the middle portion, I think, that we should be leaving out right now. Just waiting till there's a meeting between these guys and administration to try and iron out where everything should fall. Thank you.
Sorry, Jim, you can't speak well. There's a motion on the floor. Sorry. I'm just going to ask the clerk to read the motion for us, so I get it clear also.
The current motion says that no drainage bills to be mailed out without detailed descriptions, that Jim Shepley be reimbursed for his time and equipment, and that a review of the drainage department be carried out.
And that's all three. 1, 2, 3. Okay?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks. Councilor Vogt.
I would like to add a friendly amendment to that motion that says that in terms of where it says Jim Shepley is reimbursed for time spent, I would like the friendly amendment to say after a review and a recommendation from the drainage department, please. So in commitment, people, it doesn't commit us to anything until they have the opportunity to talk to Mr. Shepley, get a feel for what it cost him to do that, and then that come back to council for endorsement. We're not agreeing to do anything until we hear from them, and it satisfies what we're after tonight.
Friendly amendment, okay with the seconder, Councilor Bundy. Okay, to the new motion. Any comment? No? Okay. All in favor of that motion? Motion carries unanimously. Councilor Rokes.
I'm sorry for prolonging this, but I have to try to...
Okay, Councilor Rokes, I got to cut you off. I'm sorry, but we have an agenda to stick to. We've dealt with this issue. She's all done.
This pertains to the drainage concern tonight. I know it's ironic I mentioned after, but it's independent to the concern of everybody that's here, and Mrs. Marquette.
What do you think?
It's up to you. It's not my meeting.
I know it's my meeting.
Can I move to receive this then, and then ask?
That's what we're doing.
That's what our
That's
next
needs
thing
to be
is,
done next, yes.
to receive their presentation.
I'll move we receive their presentation.
Okay, Councilor Vokes. Councilor Bondy, any questions? Councilors, all in favor?
Questions?
Motion carries. Questions, sir?
Thank you, Your Worship. I want to go to administration if I could. Mrs. Marquette, Mr. Marquette are before us tonight, and there's a file outstanding there that hasn't been answered yet, and that was in terms of Mr. Marquette's, George Marquette's bridge that was broke, and Mrs. Marquette and Mr. Marquette both represented George on that particular file, so it gives them rights tonight to quickly discuss, and what had happened was a truck had to make it very, very simple, a truck turned around and broke George Marquette's bridge. So
Councilor Vokes,
Yes.
I have to stop you. I'm sorry. This topic is not on the agenda, so we can't discuss it.
So, Grady, it's okay.
all right.
Yeah.
Don't
Chris,
worry, we've seen,
I'm sorry,
we've
yeah,
had an
I'll-
issue with Chris who's not even
That's
paying
okay.
attention to us.
The-
We're okay.
This agenda, though,
We're
is
okay.
not on this item isn't
Yeah,
on the agenda,
yeah,
and we
okay.
cannot
It could have been a
discuss
simple
anything that's
yes
not
or
on
no,
here, so
but
I'd like to thank
I'll
you for
make a
coming,
comment.
and this will get resolved. Larry, keep in touch, okay? Oh, you can make a motion, okay.
They can make a motion to put it on there.
To put it on
Yeah, the regular council meeting they can.
tonight,
Some, yes,
okay,
at a regular meeting you can add addendum items like you do at the beginning.
okay. Councilor Vokes, you can put that as an addendum item.
You have to have a motion.
So to the clerk, can I put it to a motion, we speak to it, and get
Yep.
a look for a
And
second?
Councilor Snively is
Thank
seconding
you,
it.
clerk.
Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Thank you very much. Okay,
Thank you. So as I was saying that Mr. George Marquette's bridge was broke as a result.
no, sir, this is on the addendum items. We're not talking about it right now. We're going on with the agenda. That's an addendum item, which will be, with the rest of the addendum items. Right now.
So are you telling me I gotta put it at the end of the night?
Okay, yes, but move it, ask to move it ahead.
Can I move it ahead?
Seconded by Councilor Bondy. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carried. And sir, we do things right. You want us to do them right? That's all we're doing. Sorry. Councilor Vokes, you got the floor.
As I was saying, there was a bridge broke that was owned by George Marquette. And Mrs. Marquette come before council, stated her case, which really afforded the opportunity not to make any decision in terms of the bridge and being paid by George Marquette. And if my memory serves me right, that would have been about 14 months ago. Longer than that, 15, 16, 17 months ago. And they left there with the anticipation that the town of Essex was going to decide whether or not George Marquette had to pay for that bridge. And today, they're still waiting for an answer. And I have talked to Mrs. Marquette about that, about probably truthfully, actually the truth is, I seen George Marquette in the bank the other day, and because I seen him in the bank, I didn't go in because I didn't have an answer for him. And that's wrong. And so all I'm trying to do is get, if I could to Chris, is get an answer, because L.B. Marshall, from what I understand, from the legal department, was trying to decide whether or not the Marquettes had to pay for it, and what the position was against Blaine Trucking. So here I am tonight, trying to get an answer again for the Marquettes, and I thought I would take opportunity here tonight, really on the same subject matter almost, to see if we had an answer on that. So I know myself and Chris and Donna had talked about it a couple months ago, and Chris was waiting on L.B. Marshall. And I don't want to prolong these people no longer, because it's really looking like we're going to have to pay for it as a town because Blaine broke the bridge. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, if I could, Mr. Nepsey, do you have some kind of an answer, or where are we at with this?
Yep, I can. Through your worship, we did originally, we were dealing back and forth with L.B. Marshall, who was a solicitor at the time. We also were dealing with a MAFRA, going through some case law that way. Unfortunately, L.V. is in retirement mode, so the litigation, our legal representation has changed. and that I'm meeting with him this week. Dan and I had talked about it earlier this afternoon. So I'm hoping by the end of the week that I will have a summary for council as far as the direction we're heading with that.
Thank you, sir. Anything further, council folks?
When Alvy started on this, he was a young man.
Anyone else? Anyone else with a comment on this topic? Okay,
Can I?
would you like to say something?
Just-
Sure.
Just a comment on that. Just so people understand the timing, that bridge was broken 5 years ago. 5 years ago is when I called Mr. Dan Boudreau and asked him to look into this bridge. 5 years after, we are still dealing with this issue, where and my father-in-law doesn't have an answer. Blaine took responsibility of breaking that bridge, and why are we even discussing it? That's the part I don't understand. You have a trucking company that said, yes, we did, we broke your bridge, but we want to take that responsibility away from them because of the age of the bridge. I challenge any one of you to drive through Essex and see how many bridges we have that need to be replaced that have not been replaced. And now you're going to give this company the opportunity to say, well, it only had 2 years life left anyways, so I'm only going to pay $3,000 of the $20,000. That, as a taxpayer, I cannot believe that would be allowed, nor that my father-in-law got that bill.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, and like Chris says, we'll get back to you, or we'll be in conversation to try to get this all resolved. Councillor Snively?
Through your worship, this is not your issue. I'd like to ask council if we could move up one item on the agenda, because we're going on so long. I have the people sitting here, my neighbors. It's about the speed limit on the 4th concession. What
Page are we on, sir, so I can
It's
get there?
under new business.
New business, okay. Gotcha.
And if council would allow my neighbors to speak, I greatly appreciate it. Take 2 minutes.
And it's been seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
And it's
Motion
about
carried.
Through your worship, what they're bringing
Yes, sir,
up
Larry.
is the blind spots on the bridge, the new bridge that was constructed, I don't know how many years ago that bridge has been there. And it's at the intersection of McCormick and the 4th concession. If you're traveling northbound on McCormick and you're in the car, you cannot see over that bridge. Thank you.
So the reason you want the speed limits reduced is because of the bridge?
No.
Is that, oh, well, what are we
Through
talking about here?
No, through your worship, I had many people phone me that live, like where I'm at, I'm on the west side of McCormick. From there, we'd like it reduced to our town line. The road dips up and down there, it's a very narrow road, and the speed limit there is 80 kilometers an hour, and my thinking is if we do get it reduced to 60, the people will do 80, and that's the problem, okay? We got it at 80, people are doing 110, 120, very dangerous road. Thank you.
So if we put it to 60, we won't catch any speeders. No. Young lady, you have the floor. Thank you very much.
My name is Joan McFarland, and I've lived at 4881 Concession 4 for the past 20 years. And in that time, I have seen the population approximately triple in this area. The speed limit in the area between the McCormick and the Arnertown line should be lowered from 80 kilometers to 60 kilometers to ensure the safety of local residents, because we don't have sidewalks and out of necessity are required to use the road to ride bikes, walk, jog, kids waiting for school bus, walk across the road to pick up the mail, walk our dogs, and visit our neighbors. We should be entitled to the same safety and quality of life as someone living on streets such as Fairview Avenue. This stretch of road from the McCormick to the Arnertown line is 3.5 kilometers long. Traveling at 100 kilometers, it takes 2.2 minutes, and at 60 kilometers, it takes 3.5 minutes. Is it worth putting at risk residents and drivers over a savings of 1.3 minutes? Also, there is a recently renovated bridge at the corner of the McCormick and the 4th concession, which is extremely dangerous because vehicles turning off the McCormick have had their vision blocked by the bridge. Reducing the speed limit would also help make this a safer intersection. In closing, I would like to remind Council that under the Municipal Act, it is the role of Council to represent the public and to consider the well-being and interests of the municipality, so this would mean Council should put the priority of the safety of the local residents first. Thank you.
Thank you, young lady. Any comments from council members? Councilor Bjorkman.
Hi. Thank you very much, through your worship. Thank you very much for taking the time to come out. And I was looking at the petition that you had filed. This is the, now did you, is that pretty much everybody that lives on that road? What's the percentage of?
Through your worship,
Okay.
I think there was probably about 6 other homes, okay, that I got to them. I left a card on their door with the message that that's why it was there. Okay. And I had two people phone me, they were in favor. I only had 4 or 6 people opposed out of all the people. Matter of fact, I had a couple more people that I didn't even put on the list that were in favor of reducing it. So there was only about 6 people that opposed totally. Thank you.
Okay, no, and I just was, that's tremendous to get that many people involved and to go out and talk to them, and it's overwhelming there with 18 of them that had on their yes and only 4 no. So that's pretty well representative of what the people on that street want to do. So I'll be in favor of the motion.
Anyone else? Councilor Bondi.
I am also in favor. I've had some sidebars with some of our OPP officers, informally, of course, and they said that is definitely a problem area in our town. And I know that if the speed limit's 60, I'll probably be one of those ones that's driving 80. So, you know, I agree that it needs to be looked at for sure. It's very dangerous there, and it's built up.
Deputy Mayor Malash.
I hate to be the downer in this, but I agree that if everybody wants it lowered, that it should be lowered. But you might be disappointed because we've tried lowering speed limits in rural Essex on other occasions, and there are some roads I know I've had residents in Ward 2 come to council over the last few years and ask for lower speed limits. But unless you have police there to enforce it, and it's impossible to have police everywhere all of the time. So you're still going to see it, you're still going to have to be careful, because you're always going to have those drivers that are going to ignore whatever speed limit's there and think that they can just fly by. So just keep that in mind.
Councilor Snively.
Very quickly, I don't want this to drag on, but I think as council, that is our job to notify the OPP and tell them that we are reducing the speed limit, and we're going to have that machine out there. We'll have the OPP ask them to put the machine out there with the 60 kilometer an hour, and maybe to reinforce that road for the first couple of weeks to get the people slowed down, because I don't think it's the local people, it's the people that pass through. So they're coming from Harrow, Amherstburg, and they're cutting through to Leamington and Essex. Thank you.
Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, through you, your worship. We have had conversation with the OPP on that particular stretch of road, and the OPP has indicated that upon request from the municipality, they'd be more than willing to provide statistical traffic information and to work with the municipality in regulating and helping in decision making.
My only question then would be, you say they would like to be in conversation with us? Yes. Or they support it?
No, they would converse.
Okay, they would converse. So I was going to ask, when Councilor Bondi said something about having spoken to the OPP, my question, personally, my question was going to be, and we've done this many times in the past, you ask the OPP, is there a need? I can probably see a need because of the bridge. Whether you can't see one way or the other, I'm not sure. But that'd be the only reason I would suggest that, yeah, that's a good idea, probably, to reduce the speed. Whether I want it all the way to the Arner, I don't know. But having spoken to the OPP, I think we should hear from them. You know, that's what they're there for, to give us their advice. If there's never been an accident there, you know, I know, but on the 3rd, oh, you know something? there's a lot of deer on the 3rd. Why are we letting people drive 80 kilometers an hour down there? Somebody's going to get killed hitting a deer. You know, we can get them coming for every street or road in the municipality. And I think we need to hit everyone that's involved with helping make the right decision. And the OPP are one of them. Councillor Snively.
Yeah, through your worship, Greg Adams is an OPP officer that lives on that road. And when I talked to him, he said, Larry, it's about time. It's about time. Retiring Rick Mailing was another one. He said, Larry, that speed limit there, that's a bad road. So there's 2 OPP officers right there. I'm not gonna, I don't want to disagree with some of the things you're saying, your worship, but I've lived there for 27 years. And I tell you, I've seen a lot of close calls down there. And you know, there's some residents that live down there that won't even walk that road because they're terrified of the traffic. That road is up and down, it dips. I'm not talking the 4th concession west from where I live, because it's all flat there. But when you get east of where I live, that road is up and down, it dips. There's a lot of blind spots down there. It's just a matter of time that somebody's going to get hit down there. So I would recommend that we do, this is a no-brainer. Lower the speed limit to 60 and let's get her done.
And Mr. Phillips? Oh, okay. Well, I just want to say, with respect to the OPP, you heard what our CAO said. In discussions, they would like to speak to us. And I don't doubt that those people told you people. But wouldn't it be nice if we talked to the OPP instead of a police officer and we got that same statement from the OPP? Not my buddy or your buddy or anybody, but from the OPP. That's all I'm saying. We got a pretty good relationship with them. Why should we try to, darken it any by not discussing it with them when they've already heard from our administration that would probably be going to come to them. Yeah, come on, we want to tell you. That's all I'm going to say. Someone had their hand up over here. Councillor Bundy.
Thank you. At this point, I do not need to talk to the OPP. I've heard from the residents, and the OPP work for us, and we tell them what to do. And I would like it to be 60. I've heard enough evidence.
The vote.
Thank you. That was actually going to be my comment. The truth is, respectfully, and we obviously have to respect our enforcing body, which is the OPP, but the reality is that we have a council here tonight who's fully aware of that particular road, and we have almost 25 endorsements that are saying it's not safe. I don't need to talk to one PP officer or 2 or 3 respectfully. I got 25 people telling me it's not safe. And ultimately, we make the rule on it, right? And we decide how people are going to live and what they're going to do down there, not the OPP. So I'm going to ask that we obviously support this and change it.
We need a motion. Councillor Snively.
I'll make the motion that we reduce the speed limit. Right where I live, 4739, it would be the house just west of me to Arnertown line. The rest we would leave at 80 kilometers an hour, west from Jerry Cody's all the way down.
Ordered by Councillor Bundy. Questions? All in favor of the motion? One opposed. Okay, here we go. Thank you, young lady.
Item 7, reports from administration. A, Fire Department, report number 2015-002, which is the Fire Department organizational review.
Okay. Support the recommendation. Supported by Councillor Bundy, seconded by Councillor Vogt. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carried.
Item B, Corporate Services, report number 2015-009, the draft code of conduct for council members.
Moved by Councillor Bundy, supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Item C, Planning Department, Report Number 2015-13, Source Water Protection Plan, Essex Region Conservation Authority.
Moved by Councillor Snively, supported by Councillor Bjorkman. We have one young lady in the audience, Katie Stemler. Oh, we got a motion. Can you cancel that motion so we can let this young lady speak to us? Withdraw it, I guess is the word. Yep. Okay, seconder? Okay, that's fine. Now we need a motion to let Katie Stemler from IRCA, who would like to speak to us about source water protection. Okay? Councillor Snively, Councillor Bjorkman. Katie, welcome. You've done it before. Thank you very much.
Through you, Your Worship. I just wanted to speak with you a little bit about source water protection. I've met with Jeff Watson, and Chris Nepsey has received some emails from me. What you have before you is some recommendation from your administration for a proposal for the Essex Region Conservation Authority to be delegated to provide you with the risk management services under the Clean Water Act. So not sure how familiar you guys all are with source water, but it is a requirement under the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change that different regions had to develop a source water protection plan. The Essex region has done this with a 15-member source protection council. This is made up of local members. They addressed and assessed a variety of different potential significant drinking water threats and had to come up with policies to address those significant drinking water threats. These policies in the plan have been reviewed by the ministry, and they were approved on April 15th, 2015. So this plan is completed and the policies are completed, and the policies come into effect as of October 1st, 2015. One of the policy types that can be written for significant drinking water threats are under Part 4 of the Clean Water Act. And those policies that are written under Part 4 of the Clean Water Act are the responsibility of the municipality to enforce. And the town of Essex does have one of those policies that they are responsible for enforcing, and that is for the handling and storage of large volumes of liquid fuel up to 15,000 liters. And that determination was made through modeling that was hired out to a consultant. So it shows that if a spill of that size were to occur in particular areas, that it could reach a drinking water intake and cause a drinking water concern. So the policy that's written towards that is that we need to have risk management plans, and then a follow-up to that is that we have a plan in place to screen for future installments of fuel. And what IRCA has presented to you is a proposal to provide those services on your behalf, because the municipality does have that authority under the Clean Water Act to delegate to a conservation authority or to another municipality or board of health. And IRCA has the skills and the staff to support it. Myself and Dan Jenner are here as trained risk management officials. You require that special training in order to actually carry out those Part 4 responsibilities. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a Cole's note as of Jeff's request that I do so, and I hope that you review the recommendation by council, and if you have any questions for me regarding it, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? Someone move the recommendation? Councillor Bjorkman with a question.
Thank you very much for coming and talking to us about that. At the very end, of course, our financial impact is unknown. Do we have just an idea? Is there a model that you've used before, looked at, where we could have just some idea of what it is we're getting into?
Through you, Your Worship, your administration has seen an estimate of our costs, and they're broken down based on two portions of the program. And the first portion is a development program where we look at what are those risk management plans going to be, and we are going to get together a fuels working group to determine that. How do we work with your planning departments to do that future screening process? And those costs are shared amongst all of the municipalities. The idea of IRCA providing these services is that we're providing it for all of the municipalities in the region. So that portion of the cost is shared amongst everybody. And it's I believe it's in the neighborhood of 7,000 to 8,000 over the 3 years with that shared cost. And that cost may shift a little bit if any of the municipalities choose not to participate. So it could increase slightly if any, and there's only 2 that we haven't had, that we haven't been able to speak with yet, and everybody else is completely on board. And the cost may go down a little bit if those municipalities who have received provincial funding are able to add more to the pot. So that's where there's a little bit of wiggle room in that portion. And then the second part of the program is based on the number of identified significant threats. So our GIS department did an exercise looking at aerial photography to identify potential fuel storage tanks. So the town of Essex, I can't remember the number right now, had X number of existing significant threats, and then there's a number of assumptions based on how many we think will be the future threats and so on and so forth, and then the costs are based upon that and how long we think it will take to do all of them. I think that the number in the report that you have is somewhere in the neighborhood of 21,000 for over the course of 3 years, and the reason why that's not in your recommendation is because we know there might be a little bit of wiggle room. It'll only be, in the neighborhood of 3,000 to 5,000 one way or the other. It's not going to be a huge difference between that. And then I believe the wording of the recommendation is also allows administration that it's an agreement between administration and IRCA. So there's still room for discussion to the final costs.
Anyone else with comment, question? No? Okay. Looking for the motion. Councillor Snively, supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Any question? All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you, Katie. Have a good evening.
Item D, Planning Department Report Number 2015-14, which is the rezoning application for 190 Talbot Street South in Essex Center, Ward 1.
Moved by Councillor Bonley, supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item E, Infrastructure and Development Report Number 2015-07, regarding Mole Side Road speed reduction, and attached to that is bylaw number 1431, which is a bylaw to regulate the rate of speed on Mole Side Road.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Malash, supported by Councillor Snively. Any questions? Councillor Vokes.
What process do we use to determine when we change the speed limit? I see 2 processes here tonight. One, I see Larry just putting an initial forward on behalf of constituents. And then here I see it being adopted through a bylaw. So what process do we use that says whenever there's a reduction or an enhancement if required, we do this?
Madam Clerk.
Through your worship, in the report for Mole Side Road, it explains the history behind why this one was reduced. Subsequently, even with the one that Councillor Snively brought forward tonight, a bylaw will still have to come before council at the next meeting, but this bylaw was prepared in conjunction with this report.
No, right. I respect that and I get that, but it's just like we have no protocol to follow on changing the speed limit, right? And I guess maybe it's one of those things that's hard to control, but
It's, through your worship, it's usually done based on a request. So if a request comes into council, council makes a decision at the time that it's presented to them.
okay, thank you, Chair.
Mr. Phillips.
Yeah, thank you. Just to elaborate to what the clerk had indicated, I think the protocol is, as she described, this was a request that came forward from a citizen or from a group. This is the Guestwood Camp Group had asked for speed reduction. They came to administration. We're bringing it forward as a full package with the report attached. Tonight, Councillor Snively's, with the representation from the community, brought forward, but still council's going to have to pass a bylaw. So it's just a longer step, but I think the protocol is the same, Councillor.
Okay, all in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Item F, Infrastructure and Development Report Number 2015-08, which is the results of the request for tender for Essex Culvert Rehabilitations.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Malash, supported by Councillor Snively. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item G, Economic Development, Report Number 2015-02, Business Walks Project.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, seconded by Councillor Vokes. Any questions? Councillor Vokes.
Obviously, this is something that very clear we need to be doing. Obviously, it's something very clearly we need to be doing. But with that being said, is there was a second consideration to something that was very similar to this, and that is when we passed the urban center property standards, we too then had agreed that as a council, we would do a walkthrough. Is that still on the horizon to do so, to do that? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Phillips?
Thank you, through your worship. Yes, that is on the plan. Anne was not able to be here with us this evening on the economic development front, but she has on her work list both of those projects. This one, we felt that we wanted to get in front of you now in July at your meeting now, but we're going to try to, in the next couple of weeks, get council and the BIA chambers out around our communities. That's still on her work list.
All in favor? Motion carries.
8, Item A, Ministry of Transportation, Phase 3 of Highway 3 widening in Essex County, and this is replied to Council's recent letter to Honorable Stephen Del Duca, Ministry of Transportation, concerning the Phase 3 of Highway 3 widening.
Moved by Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Snively. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item B, a letter from the Ministry of Transportation to MPP Taras Nadishak regarding the Highway 3 widening in Essex County.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, supported by Deputy Mayor Meloche. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item C is a request from Linda Eiler to be appointed to the Town's Heritage Committee.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Meloche, supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item D, a letter from the Ministry of Education regarding reply to the town's letter on the funding formula on rural schools.
Moved by Councillor Snively to receive. Councillor Bjorkman supports. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item E is a request from Mark Mosal, 2100 McCormick Side Road, for temporary relief from the town's animal care and control bylaw. And specifically, it's section 3.04, which only permits 3 dogs. Mr. Mosal has 4 dogs. And he did state in his request that once one dog had passed away, they would not replace that with the 4th dog again.
Oh, Councillor Snively and Councillor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carried.
Item F, Essex Energy Corporation, and it's a request for council resolution to support forfeit projects.
Deputy Mayor Meloche. Okay. Seconded by Councillor Snively. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item G, a request from the town of New Tecumseh regarding a motion on electricity rates.
Okay. Councillor Bjorkman, supported by Councillor Snively. Any questions? Councillor Bondi.
I do have a question, thank you. If we are supporting this, then we're endorsing the resolution, asking the government to examine the protocol or the proposal for farm. Does that mean that, when I read it originally, it meant that, to me, that we're giving farmers a discount on electricity? So then in the end, it would make the residential rates higher? I don't know. I think I need some interpretation about that, about this, about what I'm supporting. Clarification on what I'm supporting. That's what I would like. I don't know what the proposal is. I don't think any of us here know what the proposal is. Examine the proposal for farm and industrial electricity rates made by the Canadian Cement. I don't know. I'm just not prepared to support it unless I...
If I could, that's really just who's heading it off.
Councillor Volk, yeah.
That's
Go ahead.
just who's heading it off. Yeah, actually, it's in today's paper, Sherry, just so you know, in terms of industrial electricity costs. Sergio Marchione's in there along with this same initiative here. And these people are just heading it off. And Sergio Marchione's in the paper today saying that they can't compete anymore because of the rates of hydro they're paying in the automotive industry here in terms of other places around the world and what they're paying. Okay. So that's really, and it's just asking for support to recognize that that's being put on some of these industries.
Any further questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Item H is the letter of resignation from the Arts, Culture, and Tourism Committee by Chris Jelinas.
With regrets, yes, sir. Supported by Councillor Snively with a question. Yep, well, we need a second. We need a seconder. Okay, you have the floor, sir. Yep.
It's very sad we lose Chris. Very, very sad. He put a lot into this committee, and I don't know what the reasoning is. I haven't heard, but that's a great loss for this committee. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
A real short one. I could let our CEO, who has talked to him, I talked to him on the weekend. He's taken over his dad's business. A lot going on in his life right now. He doesn't have the time. There's nothing with regards to what did or didn't go on with that group of people. Has nothing to do with that. It's just the world around him is, caving in. He needs time to himself to get things looked after.
Your worship, I belong to that committee, and it's a good committee, and Doug's very involved with it. And it's just, I noticed that committee is getting less and less and less. And I would just like to have that investigated to see if there is any reasoning why that committee is dissolving so quickly. I mean, the last meeting I was at wasn't even enough for a quorum, so I'm very concerned about that. Maybe we can investigate and see what we have to do. And maybe the timing of the meetings is wrong, I don't know. But that's
Mr. Sweet, maybe we could get you to check into what Councillor Snively just said, or any ideas?
Through your worship, we can look into it, but I know other than Chris, because both Evelyn has been reinstated since the last meeting, so, but I think it may be the meeting time could be an issue, so we can relook at that.
Thanks, Larry. All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Item 9, committee meeting minutes, Finance Committee meeting from June 15, 2015, and there is one recommendation to council.
Move the recommendation.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item B, Finance Committee meeting from June 22, 2015, and there are 3 recommendations for council.
Move the 3 recommendations.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, supported by Councillor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item C, the Essex Central BIA Board of Minutes, Board meeting minutes from March 10th, 2015, April 14th, 2015, and May 12th, 2015.
Support.
Moved by Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Item D, Essex Center BIA Board meeting minutes from May 12, 2015, and this is the annual membership meeting.
Deputy Mayor Malash moves, supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item E, Fun Fest Committee meeting minutes from May 21st, 2015, and June 18th, 2015.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, supported by Councillor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carried.
Item F, Communities in Bloom Committee meeting from May 26, 2015.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, supported by Councillor Vokes. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Committee of Adjustment meeting minutes from May 26, 2015.
Councillor Snively moves, supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item H, Essex Police Services Board, June 11, 2015, special meeting.
Moved by Councillor Vokes, supported by Deputy Mayor Malash with a question.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. Actually, the minutes for that meeting are very vague. Extensive conversation took place regarding the changes from the previous municipal police billing statement to the new billing model, and that's all that we hear. Is there any chance that we could know what the significant changes are as a council?
Mr. Phillips, thanks.
Through you, Your Worship, there were significant conversations. I don't know that there was anything, there were no changes made as a result of that, but there were discussions. I think your next item really is coming out of the board meeting. That was a meeting, the special meeting was strictly with their staff and the PSB board in discussing the billing model.
Okay.
And then the next meeting was immediately following that on the very same day. That meeting had recommendations coming forward out of the PSB board themselves in reviewing the contract and the model.
Thank you.
Sir Bondi?
I'm just wondering if we should table this to the next meeting until Bill is back. I would just like to hear from Mr. Caxero on this issue, and I'm a little tired.
It's done. Thanks.
Item I, Essex Police Services Board meeting minutes from June 11th, 2015, and there's one recommendation from the minutes. Oh,
This is the one she wants tabled.
well, you didn't vote on each.
Yeah, do them both, okay? Sure. Yep,
Both of them?
both of them, eh? Good. Sure can, thanks.
Item 10, bylaws. A is Schedule A to bylaw, B, to bylaw number 1404, being a bylaw to delegate the duties of powers of council of the town of Essex, and there is revision to section 14.03 to add "and applications for demolition without a redevelopment plan."
Moved by Councillor Snively, supported by Councillor Bondi with a question.
So if I understand this correctly, an applicant can apply for a demo without having a redevelopment plan, because we do see that some buildings are better torn down and vacant property is more valuable than a property with a vacant building. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
B, bylaw number 1416, being a bylaw to provide for the Benito Drain Bridge for Beth Rushlow, and the third reading is required.
Moved by Councillor Snively, or Councillor Vokes and Deputy Mayor Melange. Yeah, okay. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item C, bylaw number 1417, being a bylaw to provide for a South Town Line drain bridge for Anthony Ria. And this requires third reading.
Moved by Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Snively. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item D, bylaw number 1418, being a bylaw to provide for a new maintenance schedule of assessment for the Beneteau drain. And this also requires third reading.
Councillor Bunning, Councillor Vokes, any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item E, bylaw 1432, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of July 13th regular council meeting of the town of Essex.
Supported by Councillor Vokes and Councillor Bjorkman. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Next item of business, 12A, was already moved up in the agenda. The second item from Councillor Snively is a notice for drainage on-site meetings.
Your worship, I think we talked enough about drainage tonight. I think we've got that taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Item B is request from Councillor Vokes to discuss Canadian Transportation Museum in Heritage Village.
Thank you. I'm not going to talk too long on it. Obviously, my position last time at the last meeting was recognizing what the Liberal government of the day is doing in terms of pulling the rug out from underneath places, particularly that of the Canadian Transportation Museum, where historically they've always got a grant for $29,000. And because there was a fallacy out there, and somebody had come forward and said that the Canadian Transportation Museum is actually downloading, if you will, cars for sale on their site and then generating a revenue as a result of that, that's a sheer fallacy. And I want to go on record and make sure that's very clear right now, because that was extremely bothersome to the board at the Transportation Museum. It was merely no more than people who go out there and enjoy the festivities had wishes to put their cars for sale on their website, recognizing the notary it gets. And Mr. Bergman and Mr. Mulder and the board allowed them to do it, never figuring there was going to be any reprisals as a result of something so simple. And because somebody had called the government and twisted that, the government took their grant away for $29,000. So their request was that because of that, and they had a willingness to open up their books and show everything that had taken place out there to the town of Essex, they were going to, and still are, going to be seeking, if need be, and I say tentatively, municipal support in order to keep that business open, because that $29,000 was very important to them. But we all know, in the interim of that, is what I had forwarded to council, that now there are some discussions accepted in principle that St. Clair College is going to take that particular facility over. And if they do, then obviously the board of the day will step down. The revenue will no longer, the assumption would be needed. But the intent of Mr. Bergman and Mr. Mulder is to recognize today that in principle, they still run that business. And they could temporarily still need financial support. So I'm just asking council to keep that in mind, that we could be approached moving forward at a later date for that financial support. So I thank council for their time on that.
Any comments? No? Okay. Thank you, sir.
And Councillor Vokes had asked that new business be put on regarding discussion of notices of being absent at a meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilor Vogt.
I just want to have some discussions with council and administration. I think everybody knows what had happened at the meeting I was missing from in terms of the 50% DC charges, where the next day on a social media, it was put on that I didn't call in. So they're very clearly. And the reason I was missing from that meeting is everybody on this council, I think, knows why I was missing from that meeting. It was a personal thing, very personal to me and my wife. I'll let all of you read between the lines what it very well may have been about. And then I was attacked for not being there because of a family concern on Facebook. Attacked. Not questioned, not summarized. I was attacked. And nobody knows why I wasn't there. And for those of you who don't know why I wasn't there, I summarized to Russ Phillips why I wasn't there. And I think everybody knows what's been going on in my life and my wife's life over the last year. So you can do the math on that. That's why I wasn't there. But there was much more to it than that. And I had full intentions of being at that meeting. And then I get up the next morning and my wife gets calls at home saying, it's all over Facebook, Randy, you're being bashed for not being at the meeting. And my question is this: in the format of the message that was put on the social media site, it said he didn't call in. I want to know who suggested to that particular person I didn't call in. Who told that particular person that I didn't call in? Because the truth is, it's none of their business that I didn't call in. None of their business at all. The protocol and the process should be very clear, as it was done tonight with Mr. Caxero. He's absent. But not in my case. Not in my case. In my case, it was put all over Facebook. I didn't call in. And I'm just very inquisitive as to how that particular person found out I didn't call in order to put it in writing that I didn't call in. So I'll open up the floor for discussions. I'm very interested as a council, how we're going to handle that particular event when somebody's absent. Are we going to tell the whole world when they come here, oh, Steve Bjorkman didn't call in, he didn't even call in, he didn't care? It's not true. It's not true. And then we got people come to council meetings who laugh, gesture, shout, yell, do all kinds of things, such as right there, just now. And we don't do anything about it. We just let the proceedings continue. When I take a position, as I did tonight, we take a recess. That's interesting. So I'm very interested to see the views of my fellow colleagues on council about how we address a situation like that.
Okay, I think there's going to be a list of names. Mr. Phillips first, for sure.
Thank you. Through your worship, simply wanted to respond to the councillor in terms of protocol, and both the clerk and I and others have studied this. And we've responded to Councillor Vokes in this regard, not to his satisfaction, I take it. But there is no reference in the Municipal Act that a councillor must call in or must make his or her whereabouts known to anybody. There are rules in terms of missing meetings, but there's no guideline, there's no reference in the Act to say that you must call. There's nothing in the town's procedural bylaw either for a councillor to have to call in or mandatory for them to call in. As I had stated to Councillor Vokes earlier and previously, that notation of his absence was stated in the council chamber at the meeting of the special meeting on June the 29th. As I understand, and I wasn't present in the chamber, but I've conferred with the clerk and others, that it was a reply simply being asked by another member of council, which I saw nothing derogatory or negative in that. It was simply a statement of fact that no one on staff had heard from him or his whereabouts that day. And I think it was a concern from a fellow councillor in saying, had we heard from the councillor, do we know where his whereabouts are? In that they were concerned to hold up the proceedings in a manner in which to allow that individual to make up not just the quorum, but to be present in the chamber. And I think it was actually a courtesy being extended by another council member, concern for his whereabouts. The statement was made, though, by the clerk in response to the mayor if they had had a quorum. The clerk told him that they did have the quorum. Deputy Mayor Meloche then, I believe, took his seat shortly after that, and the question came up if anybody had heard from Councillor Vokes. Councillor Bjorkman, as he had indicated earlier tonight, was away at that meeting, but he had already indicated to staff that he was away. There's no protocol requiring anybody to announce that they're going to be away. We knew Caxero was away tonight. We knew Bjorkman was away the 29th. I think the statement was from all the staff that I've had discussion with, or anybody in the council chamber that evening, was that it was simply a courtesy in asking where Councillor Vokes was. Certainly the gallery and anybody in the council chambers that day, including anybody in the gallery, would have heard that. And so the response was pretty readable that no one had heard where Councillor Vokes was. I don't find anything accusatory or harmful, but I can understand the councillor's concern.
Anyone else? Councillor Snively.
First of all, through your worship, I think we have a real problem here. You know, when you're sitting as a councillor, and I'm not going to name any names here, I don't want to start an argument, but when you have people sitting out there bad-mouthing a councillor while he's sitting there at a meeting, I've seen go on, that certain person or people should not be allowed in council chambers. They should be removed. Him or her should be removed. I can remember, you know, when I ran for mayor the second term, when I had the same family sitting in front of me giving me the finger. Now, this kind of bull crap has got to stop at these council meetings. Yes. Sat right in the front row, your worship, and shot me the finger. That's real class. This kind of crap has got to stop. We're running a corporation here. We're making decisions. We're spending millions of dollars of taxpayers' money. We're here to run council. We're here to run the town. And let's get the hell at it. Enough is enough.
Anyone else? Sherry, no? Because you were the one that
Sure.
really started it to find out. No, you didn't start
No.
anything. You were concerned. And that was the start of
Yeah.
this whole thing.
Just, you know, if Councillor Snively wasn't here for some reason, one of us, I'm sure, would go, where is Larry? And that's, you know, that's what we do, right? Today, I'm not feeling great, and I did send a courtesy email out to council saying, you know what, if I might not show up. I like hearing from you, Randy, if you're not going to be here, because maybe we can stall for 5 minutes, and it's also important to know if we have quorum, and, you know, if there's an issue specific to you, we want to table that. Like tonight, Police Services Board, I'd like to hear from Councillor Caxero. He's not here, let's give him the respect. Each council member shines in different areas, and we're a family here, and we watch out for each other, and when we're not here, we all kind of look around.
We're not a fan.
Well, we all kind of look around.
This is no family, trust me.
Well, if I wasn't here tonight, I know a few of you have sent me emails today, get better, take care of yourself, you know, relax. And I know I got a couple calls from a few of you, and that's all that we were doing. From an administrative point of view and from a council colleague point of view, nothing disrespectful was said about you. The audience was a different story, but, you know, those are long-standing opinions, and you're still elected, and you sit here, and they have another 3.5 years of you, whether they like you or not. So.
Go, Councillor Vokes.
I don't know if you noticed that, but Councillor Bondi, I don't know if you noticed that, but Councillor Bondi just said, they got another 3.5 years with you, whether they like it or not. And Pam made a gesture up there to that. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what Larry's talking about. And I want to get back on track. It's not about protocol, it's not about process, it's not about none of that. I want to go back to my original question. I'm very inquisitive as to who told that person there that I didn't call in. That's all I want to know. I don't care about processes and what you do or who you don't do or what you should do or shouldn't do. I don't give a shit about that. I just want to know who told that person I didn't call in. Was it somebody at this bar, or in terms of council and mayor, or was it administration? That's all I want to know. Simple as that. And if you did do that, irrelevant to your rapport with that person, and I use that phrase lightly, then it's a violation, it's a breach of integrity. And I don't care what your rapport with that person is. And if this council thinks it's anything other than that, then you're all sadly mistaken. Because nobody's got the right to do that. Nobody's got the right to load the gun for another person to use against us. Nobody. It's a clear breach of integrity. And I'll leave it at that.
Anyone else? Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you. I don't know, Randy, if you're ever going to get an answer on that, because you can't, yeah.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
And it'll be tonight.
And to be honest with you, any member of council, if they miss, and I don't know, they haven't suggested that they're not going to be there, I do worry about them. I care about you too, Randy. So anybody that's going to miss, I'd like to know that they're not going to be here, because even my boss at work, I got a brand new boss, he's from out of town, and one day he didn't show up for work. Didn't know he wasn't going to show up. He had some kind of an appointment before work. I tracked him down because I wanted to know if he got in a car accident or something. I worried about him. That's the way I am. So now my boss tells me if he's going to show up late, he makes sure he tells me that he's going to show up late. But it's because there's people that you care about, other people like that, and we just care sometimes that there's not something else going on other than just couldn't make it.
I've got 5 names here. One more. Any comment, Steve? Nope, you weren't there. Good man. Well, I have quite a few. I hope no one goes home before I'm finished. First of all, I'll tell Randy, Councillor Vokes, that I can read between the lines. You know, all those emails you're sending to top administration, all of council, you know, is an issue between you and my daughter, Pam. Something on Facebook. Did she, in your words, all this bullshit on Facebook? No, she said absolutely nothing wrong on Facebook. Councilor Vokes, now, I'm not calling a recess because you will leave. You will leave if I call another recess. Just, Councilor Vokes, whether you're here or not, I hope you're here because you've asked, you're darn right it's not going to interfere, and I'm not going to argue with it. A 2-minute recess, and I'm not listening. I don't care how it ends. You've called me a liar already tonight. You're hearing from me. I'm not listening to you. Listen, you've asked this question 14 times in the past week, and you've got the answer. Yeah, go ahead. Gutless. Go ahead and leave. Just leave. Oh, you're not. Thank you very much. How many times have you talked to administration to get the answer? I'm going to give you the answer you want. You're accusing me of telling my daughter. You accuse me of telling my daughter I can read between the lines. Everything that you put on Facebook, you're darn right, you just did it right here. Oh, and nobody knows what you're talking about. Okay, I'm going to go to something here. You tell me to tell her to shut up a year ago.
Point of order, this is point of order. This is embarrassing as an elected official.
You're right.
I'm going to move to adjourn and excuse myself from this bullshit.
I'm not receiving it. I want to tell these people, Larry Snively, I'm not arguing. Because what you do is okay, but she can't make a sign. I didn't say she didn't do anything. I'm not arguing. What she did was give you the finger, whatever she did. But you can interrupt anybody you want, sir. It's okay, you know, and I don't want to yell. But I'm going to talk to the press then, if nobody wants to hear it. Adjournment, looking for an adjournment. We have 4.
We can't. There's no, lost the quorum.
No, we haven't. We have 4 of us here. That's all we
You
need.
don't. He's gone.
Okay, I just want to welcome, the meeting's done.
It's done.
It's done, but it's not done.
Yes, it is.
Why?
It's
Because of that
done.
guy.
It's done.
It's over.
It's done.
Young lady, I just want to say, welcome. See what you're in for? You know, see what you're in for? The press, I'm going to talk to you about this issue. He can say everything he wants to, and so can every other council member, but the mayor can't. And that's pretty darn bad, if you ask me. So I'll come right over there, and you can all hear it at the same time. Is that okay? And you can put a camera on me. I could care less. In Councillor Vokes' words, you lied. I'd like to see what I lied about from him, but you'll never get him to discuss anything with you. I'll be back. Larry, you tell me I did. I yelled at you guys, you know. Guess what? But I can't do that. I know, I brought it up. I know, but you did it to me. But that's okay. The mayor can't do it, you know. He can do what he wants, but he can't. I won't let him, you know. He's still a